Time is money, right? So let's not waste any. What's good, creative fam? Okay, so I think that you are probably just like me, and that is that you are a creator and you are somebody who likes doing video or photography, and of course you want to make money doing this. This is a very expensive hobby, but when it comes to trying to dictate like what is your value, how much you should be charging, and then if you've kind of jumped in the game charging really low and now you know that you've gotten better and that you want to raise your prices, that's probably one of the hardest things. So what I'm going to try to do is break it down into 5 easy tips that you can go into that will help you raise your prices. And trust me, we're going to do it in a way that doesn't just completely obliterate all your existing clients, but it's going to help you to actually start charging what you really should and want to be charging. All right, so the first thing that you need to do when you want to raise your prices is you have to determine what your baseline value is. Now, the reason why I recommend that everybody does this is because it's a lot of times hard to understand how much really you're bringing to the table. I mean, obviously there is the creative aspect of it. There's the question of how good am I really? But despite all those obligatory things, there are some baseline value that you bring to every shoot that you go and do. So the easiest way to break this down is first start with your gear. So what I strongly recommend you do is find all the gear that you currently own and that you take out on a shoot. Go to a rental source website, whatever, and figure out how much it would cost to rent all that gear for one day. The reason why I recommend you do that is because that's gonna give you a good idea of how much your gear alone is worth to bring to a shoot. Because let's face it, every time a client books you, they are not only booking you for your talent, but you're bringing out all this gear. So if you were to own none of it, but you were still equally as talented, and you had to rent every piece of gear that you bring out, well, there's gonna be a cost involved, right? And you already paid that cost when you bought the gear. So it's super important for you to figure out how much is your gear worth. So now that you know how much your gear is worth, now let's figure out how much your time is worth. See, every time you go out and do any type of creative job, photography, video, there's 2 fronts of it, right? There is the actual going out and doing the job. So whether you're sitting there and you're taking photos or shooting video on set, and then a lot of times there is the editing. Now, no matter what this number is, it is super important for you to start figuring out what that number looks like to you. So if you want to be making $100 an hour to go out and shoot, or if you want to be making $50 or $20 or $10, no matter what that number is, it's important for you to figure this out. Now, I've said this in past videos. You never charge your client by the hour. I strongly recommend against that. But I will say that when you are going out there, it's important to know how much you want to be making per hour. It's super easy to go out there and just kind of charge this obligatory number and not think about how much time it's actually going to take you to do the job. You know, you don't want to go out there and say, I want to be making $50 an hour, and then someone calls you with a $500 gig, and you're like, yes, I'll take it. And then you find out that you're actually going to be out there for 10 hours. Now, based on that math, you're like, well, Brandon, at $50 an hour for 10 hours, well, that actually adds up, except you don't think about the editing time and the travel time and the gear costs and all those other little things. So it's important to know how much your gear is worth, and it's important to know how much your time is worth. And then the last point with this first point is you have to know how much you want to pay your business. A lot of times as creators, we make just enough to get us by. We figure out how much it will cost or how much we need to make off the gig, and we move on. However, there are expenses that your business has to deal with. Like I mentioned before, travel, having to do with upkeep on the gear, whether that's saving money for, repairs or purchasing new gear. You need to be charging more than what it actually costs you to do the job, so that way your business can flourish, your business can grow, and you can continue to buy more gear and continue to invest in your business. But if you're only charging the bare minimum because you're trying to win the job, trust me, your business will never grow. All right, so now that we have a better understanding of what your baseline value is, now let's talk about how you can actually start raising those prices. And that's what step 2, which is post work that's on the level that you want to be charging. I know a ton of creators, and a lot of times whenever they finish a job, they immediately want to post it and share it and show it off. But a lot of times the project isn't something that they're really all that proud of, or it might be a project that was super low budget that they took just because, but it really doesn't show off their full caliber of work. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, the work that you post is going to be the jobs that you get. So for all of you out there who are tired of getting these low ball offers, I'm gonna tell you, and this is gonna be really hard, but stop posting the lowball jobs. See, if you post, let's say you shoot music videos, and you're always shooting these $200 music videos, and they're really low budget, they're one location, terrible lighting, not a great song, well, you're gonna just keep getting offers from those $200 music video clients because that's what you're putting out there. Anyone who wants to even pay $15,000, $2,000, $5,000 for a job, if they look at your work and it just looks like $200 music videos, they're not gonna trust you with that budget. So then you're asking, well, if I only get these $200 music video jobs, but you don't want me to post them, then what should I be posting? I would say focus on something more like a demo reel. Focus on small shots, not the full video. Small pieces that show the value. If you do a $200 music video and there's one shot that looks like it could be from a $5,000 music video, just post that one shot, post that snippet, because that's what people are gonna wanna hire you for. You can't post low quality work and expect to get high paying jobs. All right, so the third tip I have for you guys as far as being able to raise your prices is look at the last 6 months of jobs you did, make a list of how much you made per job, and then out of all of those, the top 10% highest paying gigs, I want you to study those. Figure out why you were able to charge more. Was it because you asked for more money, or was it because the clients offered you more money? If it was because you asked for more money, what made you feel more comfortable asking for those jobs? And then figure out how to attack that market more so that that becomes your baseline prices, and basically get rid of the rest. I know that's really hard to do, especially when we have, existing clients that are used to paying low prices, but I will tell you that if you don't focus on the higher paying gigs, you're always gonna be doing those lower paying jobs. And a lot of times we don't even realize the price difference and the value of the videos that we've been doing until we go back and do that research. So you have to go back, you have to do that research and figure out where your best paying clients are coming from and figure out how to focus in that area more. Now, if you do have a situation where it's not that you asked for more money, but the clients were just offering more money for the project, well then that should show you that that is definitely a place that you should be spending more time. Call those clients up, follow up with them, see if they have additional jobs for you, or if they know anyone who needs any video work or photography work. These are the types of little tricks and tweaks that you can do with your existing clients. So now you don't even have to go out and find new clients or figure out how to market. Just work with you already have, and trust me, you're gonna start getting more. All right, so the fourth tip kind of goes next with that third tip, and this is probably the hardest one. And as I mentioned, if you're focusing on those top 10% of clients, well, what happens with those other 90? Well, you kind of have to start firing your clients. Now, I know that that is like crazy to think about, and I know that can be very hard, especially depending on where you are financially, but hear me out for a moment. Whenever a client calls you, I want you to change your mindset. Don't think I need to prove myself to this client that I am worthy of doing their project. What you should be figuring out is, are we a good match to work together to complete this project? See, anytime a client calls me, I never go into it with the mindset of, I need to prove myself if I'm worthy of this client. Most of the time I'm going into it thinking, is this a project that I want to take on? And there's a lot of factors that go into that play, but budget is one of them. And if the client is not coming with a good budget or something that I think is worth shooting, especially for that type of project, which it can vary, I will say that I will just turn down the project and say that I don't think I'm a good fit. Now, if you have old clients who are calling you up and they're wanting to, do a project, but let's say their budgets are still really low because they know that's what you're used to, then what I would honestly tell them is, hey, thank you so much for reaching out to me again. However, at this time, my budgets for this type of project is this. Now, that client is gonna do one or two things. They're either gonna understand that your business is growing and therefore that they need to pay that additional price, or they're not gonna wanna do that price and they're gonna wanna try to go with someone else. I'm telling you right now, if that client is a loyal client, they will rate up with you. But if they're not a loyal client and they decide to go with someone else because the budget just isn't something that they can do, well then that was never someone who was truly loyal to you to begin with. At the end of the day, they have a business that they have to run and you have a business that you have to run. And the same way that they're willing to go with someone else because they're cheaper, you need to be able to let them go because they can't afford your new rate. So firing clients is probably the hardest thing you can do. I don't recommend calling them and say, hey, I'm not gonna work with you anymore because my prices have gone up. You never know. If you're doing the right job for that client and they're getting more business because of the video work that you've done or the photos that you've done for them, well then their rates should be able to raise with yours. The same way you're helping their business grow by offering them a service, they should be able to pay you more for future videos in order to continue to work with them. And honestly, I know it sucks, but that's what you kind of have to do. And the fifth and final tip I have for you guys as far as being able to charge more money is just test it. Now, this part is where you're gonna take all these things I've told you and put them into play. Now, one thing that I used to do, especially when I was first getting started, is if I had a brand new client call me, and I had never heard of them before, didn't really know how they found out about me, but they reached out and they wanted me to do a project. If I already had 3 projects going on simultaneously, I would just charge them more. And I would just send an invoice at a price that scared me. Like, I heard this once before and it was, if you're charging prices that don't scare you, you're not charging enough. So I literally would try, and the very first time I was shooting projects, probably around like $400 or $500. I had 3 projects going on and someone called me and they were like, yeah, we want to do a video. And I was like, all right, it's gonna cost $1,500. And to me at that time, I was like, that's a whole lot of money. There's no way they're gonna pay for it. And they came back to me literally within the day and was like, perfect, we'll take it. And it literally shocked me, but it shocked me in a really good way. See, sometimes you have to step out on that limb because when you don't know how much you can truly charge, you're always gonna be afraid of overcharging. But what I'm telling you is that if you can get yourself into a situation where you already have a couple projects going on, and by losing this project, it doesn't hurt you, shock yourself. Charge more than you ever thought you could charge, because at that point what you'll find is that you've probably been undercharging. A lot of you guys have been reaching out to me since I've been doing these Business Mondays and telling me that, you know, you guys are charging $400 or $500 for jobs that, in my opinion, you should easily be charging over $1,000 for. And I think that you guys can do it. I think you guys should be doing it, but I understand that it is scary. So when the easiest way to kind of get rid of that fear is to shock yourself when you have a couple projects already going on and you get another inquiry, go ahead and charge a price that scares you. What it'll do is it'll make you understand that there are budgets out there, and no, you're not gonna win every single one, but I will tell you that when you have some stuff, you have some stability, shock yourself and see how crazy it can get out here in this video world. But there you have it, guys. Those are my 5 tips for being able to raise your prices and charge your clients more. Let me know what you guys think. Check out some of the other Business Monday videos I've been dropping. Also, leave some comments down below so I can know what to make future videos on, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.